Okay, so here we are with another video, and this was sent by a subscriber, and it's an article that goes by "Marriage disproportionately benefits men, and women are quitting it in droves." And of course, it's written by Renata Gomes, which is obviously a female. So to start out, I did skim through this, and to be honest about it, like I completely understand why a woman would say this, or why there could be there could be a decent quality women, especially nowadays with as far as how cultures have changed up, especially in westernized countries. Well, and then really like around the world, but but from my a large part of my background coming from the U.S. and West, and in the Americas, I've seen this happen much more. See, the core of the reason why a woman would say this, and I haven't even read through the article in depth, but the core reason why women say this is because at the core, on average, most women are going to be when a woman is looking for a man, a woman is always in the end game of it when it comes time for marriage. She is looking for a man who is at least a little bit better than her. You see, and the even deeper part on this is marriage for a man is different than marriage for a woman. You see, most, especially westernized women, most westernized women, marriage is nothing more than a life insurance plan. Essentially, that's really all it is. It's life insurance. You see, this is why at the end game of it, like yes, they might go off and mess with bad boys here and there, stuff like that. But at the real end game, woman is looking to be taken care of because that whole living week to week, hoping they can have enough money to keep their lights on, that shit gets old after a while, and they need a man who can just take care of shit. So that marriage to a woman is different than marriage to a man. A man, see, when we're younger, we're looking for a woman. A lot of times we're looking for like a woman to marry. Just like the last video I did with Steve Harvey. Like, see, that he's like 27. He's looking for a woman to marry. He might bounce around here or there, but for the most part, man is looking for that home in a woman. Whereas, see, women are the opposite. Like when they have all those options available because they're in their prime of youth, they're not really trying to get married unless you get one of them borderline Meghan Markle situations where they do fuck around and come across a motherfucker who's just like so much better than her. She's realized, okay, I probably won't do any better than this. I better tap out and sit with this. But for the most part, marriage, like I said, marriage is essentially a backup plan in life, a backup survival plan. That's what it is for most. But anyway, we'll start. It says it's a 6 minute read, so my ass, I'll probably turn this to a 3 hour long video of a 6 minute read. Anyway, so starts out. Marriage benefits men more than it does women. Married men are happier and healthier than their unmarried counterparts. Their careers also benefit, and married men are more likely than unmarried men to be in the top 1% of earners. Well, yeah, because that goes into what I just said. You see, women they'll always marry like the top 5, 10%, the top 5 to 3% of men. Those men are always marriage material. See, the reason why many women would start a headline off with some goofy shit like this is because you have to remember the true nature of female, like the true nature of woman. Women are not naturally loving. Women are not naturally caring. Woman is her whole goal in life is to always look up. You see, a man can naturally care for people he's never met. A man can naturally want someone he's never met to truly be, taken care of. Women don't have that part in them, man. And it's not like they're evil or anything. It's just what they are. Woman is always looking to be bought, to be taken care for. You see, that's initially, but that's what they crave out of a partner. So, of course, once a guy hits that top 1%, married men, of course, yeah, more married men are more likely than unmarried men to be in the top way. Yeah, because those top 1%, they got girls throwing their pussies at them. That's why. So, anyway, on the other hand, women's health doesn't improve significantly with marriage. Yeah, no, and it won't. I'll tell you exactly why. Because see, on one hand, marriage for a woman is life insurance, right? let's just be real about it. Like around the world, marriage has always been a woman's backup plan life insurance for when she's aged out or whatever the fuck happened. You see, so yeah, it is good, but the downside is once she's got to start doing that, that's like her accepting defeat and competing with with the other women in the market. Because now it's like, okay, I can't compete anymore because I had to tap out and sit up with this motherfucker type of shit. So that makes sense. Yeah, and I agree 1,000%. Yeah, it won't with the women nowadays. It's not gonna marriage is pretty much accepting defeat at the core. So like I said, in one instance they do got a backup life insurance plan, especially if they're married in America. That's a backup life insurance plan. But on the downside, she's accepted that okay, I can't compete with with these other girls anymore for real. So in fact, women's health is much more tied to the quality of marriage. While even bad marriages seem to benefit men, women's health suffers a big impact than men's if the marriage is bad. Yeah, that makes sense because if the marriage is bad, see now the woman has to deal with it because she's yeah, that makes perfect sense. That the health doesn't get better. Like I say in other videos, like the very thing that gives women power is the same thing that destroys them. It doesn't get better. Like the older they get, the worse it goes. It's just the reality. I'm not trying to talk shit about women. It's just the reality of their developmental area. It's how they develop in the world. The woman is born into life being catered to just because she's woman. She'll be flown here or paid to go here or whatever just because she's woman. You see, but it gets worse, and there is no win after a certain amount of years. So it continues. To top it off, nearly 70% of all divorces in the U.S. are initiated by women. Of course, yeah, because it starts that endless spiral of don't settle, but I gotta settle because the men I want don't want me. Don't settle, but I gotta settle because the men don't. Yeah, and then they end up depressed, and then all that shit energy gets put off on anything else, and then it's like it gets to the point where you just don't want to deal with most of them. You just don't want to ever have to go around them ever. Type of thing. So it says, so what's going on here? And then keep in mind, this article is coming from a woman. So it's kind of funny, like watching it. It's funny, like listening to a woman talk about it, coming from the mentality as a woman. I'm getting more entertainment from that perspective. So she continues. Well, I'd be the first to remind anyone that correlation simply doesn't. While I'd be the first to remind anyone that correlation doesn't imply causation, as someone who's deeply interested in studying human relationships, and as a woman who's been married and asked for a divorce, I can't help but to speculate. Why is it that popular culture depicts women as marriage-minded, but at the same time, women seem to be the ones who are quitting marriage in droves? What is it about marriage that disappoints women so deeply? Well, that's very simple. Modern feminism telling you don't have to settle, you can always do better. That's what that's what has women quitting. You see, that's what has you quitting. Is the fact is the modern push is that women can do everything, have everything, be everything. So you'll never be happy because as long as Cadillac is still in business, they'll just keep coming out with a newer Cadillac the next year. So why should you ever settle for the Cadillac that came out 3 years ago? You see, this is why women are quitting, because because the typical woman keeps wanting brand new, nicer, newer, nicer, newer, nicer. But see, the sad part is she never gets newer and nicer. So it just ends up this huge mismatch of shit. So that just like tears down the brain even more. There's less tolerance for abuse, she says. Oh yeah. That's how that's exactly how you know it was by a woman. Yeah. We see whenever abuse. And that's how she'll get the LGBT, XYZ, any minority group, anything that this is manipulation 101 to try to justify being fucked up. Instead of just calling it is what it is. Whenever you hear terms like abuse, you already know abuse, feminism, toxic, Uh, any hot word issue like that, you already know what it is. She's a fucking joke. Okay, many years ago, my grandmother attended a 70-year wedding anniversary party. The couple were in their 90s. They smiled, yeah, because they weren't modern women. They smiled as they cut the cake together and took pictures with their children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren. He used to beat her up every single day, my grandma said, but there they were celebrating 70 years as husband and wife. Okay, if he was legitimately beating her up, she's got a point. That's fucked up. Because I'm not gonna say abuse doesn't happen, but see that abuse thing at this part where modern culture has gotten to now, women it's pretty much turned into crying wolf at this point. To the point where like if a woman screams she was abused or anything, now my initial instinct is to just ignore her, just never talk to her, never go around her. I'm just sure she doesn't exist because. Like now, on the other end, we're gonna keep reading this, but like on the other end, what was the grandma doing? Why didn't she leave? Maybe it was a part of their culture to stay together. I don't know. But if the guy was seriously beating her up every day, it sounds like either A, she really liked it, or B, he was fucked up. But like I said, nowadays women they've ran rampant with the whole I suffered from emotional abuse, physical abuse, blah 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 blah, and it's turned into crying wolf. All right, to the point where I just immediately write it off as nothing and just don't pay him any attention. Not to say it doesn't happen, but it's like crying wolf. So she continues. Couples like the one my grandmother witnessed are becoming increasingly rarer, thankfully. Women used to endure a lot of abuse in the past, physical and emotional, because divorce was either not an option legally speaking or was taboo to even contemplate. Marriage was final, and if being abused was what being married was like, then that's what being married was like. End of story. Now, women are more educated to identify even the more subtle forms of emotional and psychological abuse, and more empowered to get out of those kind of bad marriages sooner rather than later. Now, women have a much shorter tolerance for bad behavior grandmothers were expected to overlook in the past. Why is this? Is that a link? Okay. Dory Schwartz, a divorce mediator and coach, says today's modern woman is more likely to put up with infidelity. Once the honeymoon period is over, some men drastically change their behavior from romantic to controlling and emotionally abusive. See, at this point, so many women have used abusive. It's to the point now, like, see, because oh my god, because it's to the point now. Like I said earlier, once women start using these words, my initial instinct is to tune out, ignore her, and just never ever go over there ever again, because it's not going to be worth it. And if anything, she'll create a story to make you the next abuser and run around tell everybody how you ignored her and that was emotional abuse, and she'll go on Reddit and get a whole group of other fucking reject women and say, yeah, that's what my man did too. See, it is why I'm just fucking like when I read abusive, mental health, toxic, and all this shit like that, I just immediately ignore them. Immediately. Unfortunately, this happens in many marriages, and women don't want to take it anymore. The good news is women don't have to take it anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and okay, if a guy is legitimately like abusing a woman, I agree with it. But as we all know, nowadays it's literally become the crying wolf of dating now. To the point where like I don't pay any attention. If anything I click off the shit and go and just ignore it. All right? I don't pay because what I try to tell guys and teach younger guys and me blah 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 is see all that yelling and shit like that. Just no, don't do any of that. Just ignore them. Just leave. Just don't say nothing. Just leave. All that anger, all that energy you spinning up, going through her phone and all that shit. No, don't do that. Just ignore her. Ignore it. She don't exist. That's the best way you deal with her. And then she's gonna come back and wonder why you ignored her. Women's high expectations for marriage. It's not unfair to ask, abusive relationships aside, do women have too high expectations for marriage? Some people seem to think so. Oh, that means most people seem to think so. In her 2010 book, Marry Him, The Case for Settling for Mr. Good Enough, Lori Gottlieb interviewed several married women, as well as psychologists, matchmakers, and relationship experts in an attempt to understand if there's really no good men out there anymore, or if women are just too picky. Well, okay, yeah, that is definitely a thing nowadays. Nowadays, yeah, women are just too picky. Yes, and the thing, see, the pickiness goes so deep to where it's such a part of woman's nature that if you try to explain it to her, one, she doesn't want to accept it, and two, she'll get a little offended because you broke down her logic system that she didn't even realize she had. Okay? Women are picky. Women don't think they're picky because they're so used to being handed shit just because they're women, but they're picky. Oh, very picky. These abusive men, there's pools of other men that including the woman who wrote this. There are just pools of men who she knows would have never abused her and blah 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 and da da da. She knows it, but she didn't want them. See, it's a coinky dink. It's a heck of a darn coinky dink that all these women end up with these abusive men. So every man on the planet is abusive. Either he's abusive or he's so nice she'll forget his name 5 minutes after she talks to him. So who's really at fault with all this? Who's doing the picking? Because like I said, ask this woman, ask Lori Gottlieb. She knew at least 10 other dudes that she knew for a fact would have weighed on her hand and foot, wouldn't abused her, would have brought her medicine when she was sick, wouldn't have done any of this stuff that all these evil, abusive men did. So ask yourself, was it Gottlieb, Lori, and whoever, Rebecca, whoever wrote this article? Who's really in control of the decision making? It's you. Because you know the beta chumps. From the Anika girl to the Pokemon girl, all of y'all know you got these beta chumps hovering around you that you know for a fact they will never do anything. But that's not exciting. It's not exciting to be with guys like that. With guys who aren't going to have the courage to do anything that they know that you're not going to like. It's not, those guys aren't exciting. You see, that's why it's such a coinky dink that all these women have the same thing in common, that all these men are abusive, which some of them very well may be. I'm not trying to say that men were perfect angels either, but at the end of the day, the woman really picks the man for real to sit down and respect. So these women are choosing to sit down and respect these men. Because these men know exactly where all those beta chumps are who would give them everything they got and bring them food, breakfast in bed if they wanted. They don't want them. They don't want them. They want a dude who's going to ignore them from time to time. They're going to want a dude who's going to walk out in the middle of a movie on them from time to time. They're going to want a dude who's going to stand them up the first 2 dates before they go out with them. They're going to want a dude who they're going to know flirts with 3 other receptionists. That's the guy they want. And so yeah, you're picky, and then the thing is, on top of that, you're picky. Like yeah, most women are picky in the sense of like they only want that certain like relative caliber of man. Cause see those other guys, the nice guy, the guy who came to open the door, the guy who would bring her flowers to work, or the guy who would bring her a soup or a sandwich at work, or the guy who offered to give her rides home from work. That man doesn't exist to these women. He just doesn't exist. He's not a human. She don't remember his name 5 minutes after she spoke to him. So it's like you can't feel sorry for him. When you look at the whole reality of it, it's impossible to feel any empathy for him. Sympathy, empathy, whatever the fuck. It's impossible to feel sorry for him. Anyway, let's go. Let's go. In defense of the picky women argument, one advice stands out. Single women expect too much of marriage. A few twice married women interviewed for the book sound the alarm. While they don't necessarily regret asking for a divorce from their first husbands, getting married for a second time requires a dose of humility and made them recognize that in retrospect their first husbands weren't really that bad. Yeah. But they keep going down that bad boy rabbit, that relatively bad boy rabbit, either bad boy rabbit hole or they softened up to marry the beta and realize, oh, I kind of actually want like, a motherfucker that might do something I don't like from time to time. Yeah. They admit they probably could have stayed married had they realized that at the time. The men these women married next aren't perfect either. According to their own testimonial, they had to learn to tolerate imperfection in order to stay married the second time around. Well, yeah, see, yeah. According to their own testimonial, they had to learn to tolerate imperfection in order to stay married the second time around. Yes, because see, this is what media is pumping into women, is that you deserve perfection. You don't have to compromise. If you got to compromise, that means you're settling if you compromise, female. You see, if you have to compromise, if you have to do something, if you have to do something other than anything other than existing as naturally how you are on the planet, then you must be settling because there's another guy who will worship you. You see, yeah. So at least they realize that reality. But like I said, but usually by the time they're in this position, it's too late to be desirable to many men after this. According to their own testimonial, they had to learn to tolerate imperfection in order to stay married the second time. Yeah, because see, in a woman, see, she is perfect. Or if she's not perfect, her feelings will get hurt and she'll run and find somebody who tells her she's perfect again. So she can get that ego boost and then she'll run back out with, with the girl Chad and Tyrone. And then the nice guy, he's there for ego boost again. And now sometimes women do marry. Sometimes women will marry a nice guy or a good man. Usually when this happens, it's because either A, they were humbled in life and realized it at a much earlier age that like, okay, I'm not the shit. I got to marry somebody and stay loyal to him. And this is a very common scenario. A lot of women will end up marrying a guy and even having kids simply because she didn't have the courage to actually break up with him and tell him no. And the whole family will get created off of that shit. And she never really wanted to stay there. But a lot of women, they don't have that because saying no takes a certain ability to lead. And a lot of women just don't have that. And a lot of guys don't have it either. But a lot of women don't have it. Anyway, let's continue. In decades past, a good marriage was one with which both spouses consistently respected each other, had a somewhat active sex life, hit milestones together, example, buy a house, have children, retire, and didn't cause each other serious physical harm. Now, a good marriage is expected to provide emotional support, intellectual stimulation, companionship, best friend level camaraderie, an endless source of laughter and joy, and exciting, never boring sex life. Yeah. From a woman's perspective, yeah. See, this is what I say. Men are the loving and caring creatures. You see, men understand that you're gonna have a bad day, or we grow to understand and how to work with something so we can still love it. Where see nowadays most modern women, no, especially American women, they ain't no. You see, because if a woman has to work with still having to love you, and you're not like in the top 5% of men type of shit for like what you got on paper, if they got to work with you, woman has been trained to see that as settling now, and no woman wants to settle because if she settles, that's her saying she's not valuable. You see. So yeah, from a woman, now a good marriage, from a woman's perspective, is expected to provide emotional support and intellectual stimulation because the man has to intellectually stimulate her. He has to be witty, charming, funny, emotionally there, blah, blah, blah. A man has so much more to juggle with this to please a woman than what a woman has to do to please a man. Companionship, best friend level camaraderie, endless source of laughter and joy. Yeah, see, best friend level camaraderie for most women usually means she wants a gay best friend. Endless source of laughter and joy. That's very rare to find. Especially for a guy who can naturally keep that up on his own. Now, sometimes you can find women who have a good sense of humor. And at that point, then both of you guys can do it. But most women, and this is no secret, most women have no sense of. Most women are not very funny people. Now, some girls can be. I've met a decent amount of them, but most girls that you'll come across like every day, no, that endless. Okay, translation: an endless source of laughter and joy translates into man always reads her mind and knows what will make her laugh every hour of every day. And if he doesn't do it, well, he kind of makes me laugh type shit. And an exciting, never boring sex life. Okay. And yes, most of those expectations do come from women. I know, yes, that's what I just said. Most of these expectations do come from women. The same women who think a man who truly loves them will read their minds and know exactly what to do and what to say in every situation of life. And isn't it? And I didn't even read this article, but that's exactly what I just said. Let's reread that, because this is exactly what I just went on that last rant and said. Most of these expectations do come from women, the same women who think a man who truly loves them will read their minds and know exactly what to do and what to say in every situation, as if life were no more than a script. Yes, and where did women gain this? Now, the deeper question, woman who wrote this, where did women gain this entitlement? From modern feminism and modern movies and modern media. Because media tells you if a man is not 1,000% what you want, then you got to work with him. And if you got to work with him, that means you got to settle. Because there is a man out there who will do it. So if you got to settle with this one, then you must be lesser value. You know, because you must be on discount. You must be on a discount rack if you got to settle with a man who's not reading your every thought, or at least trying to read it. Yeah, ask yourself, where did that mentality come from? It's not a surprise that many women get married only to discover their spouse can't be their best friend, lover, therapist, cheerleader, and household co-manager all at once. Yeah, but that's what media tells them. That's what they believe. And if he's not that, then he's not for them. I just didn't feel a spark. I just want to be swept off my feet, and Randall didn't do that. Because he wasn't my cheerleader, therapist, lover, best friend, and household co-manager all in one. Yeah. So, yeah, the woman who wrote this, you got that right. Even the best men are only human. And sadly, some women discover this truth when it's already too late. Now, and the woman who wrote this, she already gave us her background history. She's already been married and divorced numerous times. And like I said, usually when when it's too late, and this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. This right here was a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the woman who wrote this, this is exactly what she did. You see, some women do wake up. There are some women who wake up and they realize the completely ridiculous shit they did, but usually by the time they do, it just ends up just too late. And she's a perfect example. She woke up. She could see it. But now it's too late to get the man who she could truly respect and desire. It's too late for that. Because she ends it off. Even the best men are only human. And sadly, some women discover this truth when it is too late. Emotional labor and gender roles. While Laurie's book is a cautionary tale against unreasonable female expectations, sometimes it's women's very realistic expectations not being met that shatters all hope for a good marriage. Yes, some women's expectations are impossible to meet, but at the same time, too many men consistently fail to step up to the mark at even the most basic level. Okay, see, this is translation. The women's expectations that she's talking about aren't worth it. Okay, that these women aren't worth it. They aren't worth the most basic level, because if they were worth the most basic level, they would get it. Okay, like I said, an example I used before. If you put a Louis Vuitton store in the middle of a ghetto, well, nobody's gonna buy anything because they can't afford it. You see? So what, is it Louis Vuitton's fault? Is Louis Vuitton shit fucked up? No, because Louis Vuitton, they're priced out of the area. You see, now you put Louis Vuitton in the middle of Manhattan, they'll start selling some shit because motherfuckers can afford that. You see, and it's the same thing with women. These women who had these expectations, they were not worth it. They're not worth it. That's why they're angry, frustrated, mad. I can't get the most basic level. Well, ask yourself this question, Ramona. What are you offering for a man? What are you offering for a man to go, you know what? I should treat her right. What are you other than basic pussy and below average blowjobs? What, you know what I'm saying? And just existing as a woman with tits and a butt. What are you actually offering? You see? But like I know, because see, media has trained women to think, oh well, I'm just a woman, so I deserve Prince, and I deserve to marry a king, and I deserve exactly whatever it is. I deserve exactly what I want, and everything else is lesser. But what do you actually bring as a partner, other than just existing as a woman with long hair, tits, and a butt and a vagina? You know, what else do you have to offer? Maybe you aren't worth the basic level. So it continues. Despite the majority of households in the U.S. relying on two incomes, men and women still tackle household chores disproportionately. Here's a statistic that will shock absolutely no one. On average, men work longer hours outside the home, yet even in families where women worked equivalent or longer hours and earned higher salaries, they still took on more household responsibilities. Yeah, because that's just what a woman's gonna do. That is what a woman's gonna do. A woman who's like trying to be with a guy and all this shit like that, especially with a guy who she actually can respect, she's gonna do that. She's gonna go in there and clean the dishes before I get to it. All right, she's gonna sweep and mop the floor before I get to it. She's gonna that was just a weak ass argument to try to like fuel some shit. If I read it right, that was just a weak ass that was just a weak ass argument to try to like prop women up on a pedestal. But it's just the reality. Women are just going to do that. It's what they do. If as long as they respect the man they're with. The key point. If she respects the man she's with, she's going to do that. According with a 2019 report from U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, men with full-time employment worked on average 8.3 hours compared with 7.7 hours for women. It's fair to ask, do women take on more of the housework because they work on average fewer hours, or do they work fewer hours because they know if they don't get home in time to cook dinner or laundry, nobody else will? No. Yeah, see, this is where it's coming from a woman. Okay, men will do laundry. Okay, I will do laundry and I will cook. The thing is, I'm not going to get to it immediately when I get home. You see what I'm saying? That's my thing. Now, I'm not like, you guys have seen my flat. I showed you my flat when I wasn't even ready for you guys to see. I'm not a slob or anything like that. But a woman, like, see, women care about the home more. You see, and this is where like the woman, she's incidentally telling on herself. See, women care about the home more. Women care about decorating the walls, and she's like, they care about the fucking these curtains and what color are they, what materials, does it match the fucking chest of drawers or whatever the fuck. See, women, they care about that more. So like they're gonna come home and do that more. You see what I'm saying? Like just like how when men get into cutting their grass, see, women they ain't running out there trying to cut the grass real quick. See, bring up that labor statistics. Woman who wrote this article, who's more interested in building some shit? Who's more interested in buying properly made shit, or building some shit, or doing like the physical maintenance on the house and shit, or a part wherever you at? Who's more interested in that? See, like you bring that part up. You don't just bring up laundry. You see, laundry and cooking, that is the woman. That's what women like to do. They value that shit more. Whereas, see, like men, we value making sure shit's gonna, be functional. Actually functional later. We'll get to the laundry and food later. Do women work fewer hours because it's easier to do so than to ask the help of a husband who will mostly ignore her and call her a nag? Well, see, the husband's going to call you a nag if you do it, because, see, the husband, he would have done it. But what's going to happen is you can come in here like right off the bat trying to do it, and I'm just mentally may not be on it. You know what I'm saying? That's how you're going to turn into a nag. See, I would love to do it. I would love to hold like an interview with a woman, either this woman or a woman like this, to dive deeper into explaining it. Well, and I think she knows the reality. Here's a truly shocking statistic, she states. In a 2019 study published in the Personal and Social Psychology Bulletin, which include over 6,000 American heterosexual couples over 15 years, many men experience psychological distress if their wives made more than 40% of the household income in a marriage. Yes, it's 2020, and men still feel psychologically distressed over their wives taking home a decent paycheck. Now, I can't speak on that. I can't speak on that because who have made I've dated women who have made like a shitload of money. I'm thinking of one girl right now. She she was paying $3,000 a month in student loans while she had a house and a car and all this shit. Like she's making great money. So personally, me personally speaking, I'm not saying all men are like this, but from my perspective, that does nothing for me. If a woman makes a lot of money, I don't feel any weird. Now I'll say this: I'll be more hesitant to date a woman who makes more money because what? Okay, I'd be more hesitant to walk up and meet a woman who makes more money and move in with her and all that shit. And the reason why is because I know a woman's nature. Okay, I know a woman's nature. Woman wants something better than her. So if you come in and you moving into her house, you driving her car, there's a good chance. Now, sometimes some women it can work fine like that. I've seen relationships like that; it can work fine. But I do not want to fall into that part of the population where the woman starts acting like she owns me or I got to do something now because she paid for something and all this, and I got to ask her if she'll pay a bill or something like that. I don't even want to run that risk. So I'm not that. That's why I'm not going to. But like I said, I've seen relationships like that work, and I've dated a girl like that, and that didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. But she never tried to pull the whole like I own you shit. But I see how it can bother some. Because I remember one friend of mine, he was dating this girl. And when they first started dating. This is a great example. When they first started dating, she worked as a waitress. And he worked like UPS, it's like a courier system for you guys who aren't in the U.S. Oh no, UPS. I think UPS is like worldwide. But so he was making better money than her, not a lot, but he was making better money. And she was a waitress. And while she was a waitress, she was cool. She was, she chilled. She knew how to exist. Never really was much problems out of her. But you know what? She went off and she got a job making like $15, $16 an hour or something like that, and it went to her head. And she just went. Everybody just went down because the power went to her head. She made more money than him. So, and then it got to the point where we would be out eating, and she would make like demands for what he had to order, and he started like mocking her, going, "Yes, ma'am," like shit like that. I watched that shit. Like, yeah, but that was just a quick example. Personally, I don't give a fuck. Well, like I said, now I won't date a woman who makes more simply because I don't want to run that risk of her pulling this "I own you" shit, because that really don't work. Now, a man owning a woman, that can work, okay? But when a woman runs that shit on a man, all the balance and dynamic is just off. It's just off at that point. If marriage represents an environment where support for a woman to pursue her career goal is low, where she has to take on a disproportionate amount of housework and child care, despite having a partner on paper to share those responsibilities with, and where a resistant husband makes addressing those issues in a productive way a waking nightmare, it's not really a surprise that women are calling it quits. Relationships are more flexible now, and divorce is more accepted. Sex no longer, well, yeah, it's more accepted, yeah, but we'll get into that later. Sex no longer needs to be sanctioned by marriage. There's a myriad of socially acceptable relationship arrangements, from friends with benefits to polyamory and beyond. Single women over 30 are no longer called spinsters, to their face anyway. Yeah, exactly. And being a divorced woman isn't as taboo as it once was. All things considered, incentives for women to remain in a bad marriage is simply too low to matter. Because, I'm sorry, once a woman in an unhappy marriage realizes she might just as well go do life by herself, nothing will convince her to stay. Well, you see, the thing is, I see where she's going with this. Give me a second. I see where she's going with this. Where this article is headed is like, where this article is headed is I'm strong, independent. I'm strong, independent. It's okay to be strong, independent. I'm strong, independent. I'm strong, independent. That's where it's going. But the reality of it is, man, like, and this is just a brutal reality. Okay, at the end of the day, she's still gonna crave being married. You see, like it's still gonna be a craving where like a lot of guys, we grow out, like we want to get married when we are younger, mostly. Like a guy's entire goal in life, before he gets fucked over too many times, his entire goal in life is to have woman, right? His entire goal is to keep is to obtain woman and keep her. And in the midst of that, he's more times than not, the guy's going to put up with more bullshit than he should have put up with. He's going to, have to listen, take more dumb shit because the objective is just to get woman. So there's so many guys getting, just fucked over in divorces. The woman's like, probably bought her a car, bought her a house, she took everything type shit. But still, but the man's goal is to get woman, right? In these years, because in these years, the woman, like the young, when they're young, they don't care. Okay, just like the Steve Harvey video I did, where like the guy, they asked him, "Do you love her?" "I love her." And they asked the girl, "Do you love him?" "Well, what do you want me to say? I love him." You see, because she still has time. She still has time. She has more. She always has the options because she's these are the prime years. You see, she still has that. But see, the thing is, like this, the writer of this story said earlier. By the time these girls realize what they were doing, it's usually too late. You see, so I'm going to bring this back around to the core of where I was even going with this. These women in her boat, they're trying to just like subliminally push, "I'm strong, I'm independent, I'm strong, I'm independent, I'm strong, I'm independent." But this is going to be the same woman that's going to cry herself to sleep drunk at night because she doesn't have a man. And she's looking on Instagram and Facebook and she sees all her girlfriends with guys and shit like that. That's initially what she's doing. So she continues. "Marriage just seems less important these days. This isn't a case against marriage. See, honestly, it's okay, and I'm gonna be real with you with another part right here. It sounds like since she couldn't stay married, she's trying to find validating reasons why, marriage isn't worth it, marriage isn't that, and blah blah blah, while also kind of acknowledging, where she fucked up as well. Because it kind of keeps coming back to this, from her, because like a guy, see, okay, yeah, and to continue where I was going on earlier. See, guys, we really don't need marriage. Once we get a good taste of that shit, like, we don't need it anymore. It's, if we find a decent one, it's not bad to have, but we don't, like, it's not a driving goal anymore at all. Like, I mean, if we get lucky and we find a decent girl, then, possibly. But like that Steve Harvey video, see that dude, he's 27. He's trying to lock that girl down. In my last video, he was trying to lock that girl down. And you can see it in his face. He's like, like distressed, like, "I love her." And the girl, she just smiling, chilling. Like, see, but it flips. It's going to give that relationship, because he was like 27, it's going to flip. Give it about 5 years, and it's going to flip. See, she would have used and abused him so hard because she knew she could do it, because he allowed it, that he will eventually start to grow, maybe even a little bit cold in the world. And he'll grow out of it. And then she'll start to look around and say, "Well, wait a minute, where was those beta chumps who would have paid for my food? Where was that beta loser who would have gave me this just because I was me? Where was that beta dude who..." And then her options will start to dwindle as far as the guys that could be of use to her. And that's when it's all going to flip. But anyway, back to this. Marriage just seems to be less important these days. This isn't a case against marriage, but it's hard to go through all of the arguments and the life experience. As I said, I'm divorced myself, and not come out feeling like marriage simply isn't as important as it once was. No, it's okay. Translation. Marriage is still very important to me. But it used to be important, but it used to be, I used to think that I had a role in it when I could get married, when I felt like it, when I was younger. And I took it for granted, because I pretty much spelled out everything I was early on in this article, that explained what I was doing and why I fucked up marriages. So now it's not that important. I want you to think that I think it's not important, but it's still, if not more important, because now the chances of me getting married are dwindling by the day. I still believe in marriage, though. My parents have been happily married for over 30 years, and I would like to one day find the same for myself, although these days it has become somewhat less of a priority. Marriage now feels like something that would be nice to have, but that I'm no rush to obtain and could absolutely do without. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, could absolutely do without. Translation. Okay, a continuation of this. I am in no rush to obtain and can absolutely do without, as long as I can keep my brain busy for the 18 hours a day I'm weak. 18 hours out of the day weekly until I stumble across an old friend and see her married with children. Then I'm a fucking wreck all over again. That's what that's the continuation of it. Like don't let this shit fool you, man. Like she wants to be married. Like and it's just a reality. Like women want to be married. It's like they want that shit. Like, well, let me correct myself. Many women want to get married. Staying married is a whole nother thing in their head. But like getting married getting married to most women is going to be the equivalent of running a race. Let's say running like a 10K marathon, right? It's the equivalent of that. So they'll run it, and it'll be worth it to cross that line. But then after that line, like where do you go? Well, I don't know. Do I go upgrade to a 20K race? Do I don't know. Because you did it. You got married. You crossed the line. So after that, just like a race, you cross that finish line. Well, you don't know what to do after that. Like a lot of people, they fuck around, fall off, and gain 200 pounds because there's no more. There's nothing else to chase after that because they've gotten it. They've attained it. But most women, they want to get married. But now staying married, that's a whole different issue. I suppose this is how most of the women out there initiating 70% of divorces feel as well. Like they could simply do without it. You see, yeah, and the reason why this number is high is 70% of all divorces. And you see, notice how she keeps saving herself. Like, see, you have to, when you get how women speak and manipulate shit like this, like when you really, you can pick it out like that. See, this revalidation of, oh, well, most women can do without it. Like, because 70%, they're initiating divorce. Well, yeah, they're initiating divorce, but they don't want to stay divorced. And why are they initiating the divorce? Usually, it's because, like you stated earlier, the woman who wrote this, it's because the man wasn't, reading her mind at every second of the day to know exactly what to do. So if the man wasn't reading her mind, she's got to put in some work. Well, and like I said, this is how woman's mind works, especially when they're younger. This is how the Western woman's mind works. This is how her mind is going to work. If this man is not the perfect exact thing she wants on every level, then she has to put in work to get him there, right? So if she has to put in work to get him there, then she must be settling because he's not exactly what she wants. So if a woman then has to settle, she's acknowledging that she's worthless. So she's acknowledging that she's less valuable. You see? And a lot of women will find themselves in this position after they've completed that marriage race and they get with reality. And, a man cannot read her mind. Sometimes a man might have a bad day. Sometimes a man may wake up in a bad mood or he may wake up and just not want to talk to her for 2 days. It happens. It's life. But see, woman, it's hard. It's damn near impossible to tell a woman this shit. It's impossible because they only see what they want to see, and everything else you can't if anything, they just gonna get mad, right? It's gonna get mad. So yeah. So then that leads to 70% of the divorces being filed by women, and then also, there's a whole other aspect of it. If they got kids, well, in America, they divorce rape the fuck out of you just because you had a kid together. Well, guess what? Now that car, those two cars out in the garage are hers. That house gonna be hers, and then you gonna pay the mortgage on it. And they gonna leave you, the man. They gonna leave you sitting in a studio apartment with roaches and rodents while she gets sitting up and have 2 and 3 other guys running out the house. That's how America works. If you don't believe me, look that shit up. That's how America works. So yeah, for men, it's really, I could not have, okay, to this day, I tell my girl all the time, I would never marry an American woman. Not with those laws, not with the laws in America. I would never marry one of them. It's just not worth it. Now, for a woman, it's still worth it for y'all, but it's not worth it for us, by no means. Anyway, to end this video and this article, in the end, men benefit more from marriage, but are also more resistant to enter into it, in part due to societal expectations. Men still see getting married as giving up their freedom in exchange of questionable, although scientifically proven, gains. 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. What the heck is bothering me? Don't you love, because she's in the U.S., don't you love when the women in these cultures say dumb shit like this? She did not see, and notice she didn't mention one time about divorce rape or how when a woman leaves a man, she'll in the States, she'll take the house, the car, have him paying alimony. She doesn't mention any of that. Don't see, like, they won't. Find me a woman who will bring find me an article where a woman, or anything where a woman will bring that side up. And then they'll see why men will be hesitant to go into it. And why, if there is any gain out of it, yeah, it's a gain. It's nothing but a fucking, like I said, it's a life insurance plan. So even if there is if the guy does gain some shit for being with her, she knows at the end of the day, do the math. She knows if he goes out and cheats, she'll go file for divorce and take half. If she goes out and cheats, she'll file for divorce and take half. So it's like, it's nothing but a win for you. This shit is just stupid shit. She fucking knows it. She just doesn't want to say it because it's gonna make her look like it's gonna make her look like it's gonna make that culture woman look like what it is. Because that's what it is. If me and my girl, okay, if I was married to an American woman, right now, I was married to an American woman. If I decided to go out and cheat while we were married, she go file for divorce and she gets at least half of everything, right? If she decides to get out and go cheat, she gets half of everything. What? See, like, when you read these women articles, notice they will never dive too deep on any one thing, because as soon as you dive deeper into conversation, now you're going to be a misogynist, or anything they can do, you'll be an incel, or anything they can say to take you down, solely because you asked too deeper questions into literally anything they said or they stated. All right, that you had an issue with. This is completely ridiculous. So at the end, women on the other hand, despite being socialized to want marriage from a young age, I'll get back on it later. Women, on the other hand, despite being socialized to want marriage from a young age, are the first to quit when they realize marriage are a lot. Wow, don't you like how she really tried to save that? They are the first to quit when they realize marriage is a lot more stifling and lonely than they ever thought it would be. Don't you love, see, that is female manipulation, 1,000%, right? How she tried to end it off. Because see, this entire article was written because she's salty because she fucked up her own marriage. Because I know how women talk. I know how they write shit. I know how they manipulate shit. This is exactly what that last line right there explained it all. This whole article was trying to revalidate herself as a woman and that she was right, and she had to see, like, okay. This is another important part when you deal with a woman. What's important is who filed for divorce, meaning like who initiated the dumping. That's manipulation tactic women want to use. And also, like I said, who quit, and this is why they did it, blah, 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 blah. That's it. I promise, this entire article was written because she fucked up her marriage. And she's probably got like a sister or something that's happily married, and now she's mad, so she's taking it out on this "P.S. I love you" website. I already know, and that's mean to say, but that's the fucking truth. I already know. Let's look at her articles real quick. If what look at we Renata Gomes, her last article. If your life feels incomplete without a romantic relationship, start here. Will you only find love when you stop look? She can't she can't keep a man. It explains it right here. This is explained. She's telling on herself through blogs. 4 things no one wants to see in your online dating profile. See, how about how about how to be a pleasant woman with a man? How to know when, you may be pushing your man away. How to know why see all this shit is revolving around not being able to keep a man. How to overcome passive aggression in relationships. 5 ways. Oh yes, okay, that's some goofy shit. Women are becoming real life Photoshop. Okay, translation. There's prettier girls than me on Instagram, and I'm mad about it. So I'll make an article mad about it. 3 ways you idealize romantic relationships. She tell, look, all right, look, yep, she's another. What's Donovan Sharp? He gets on like Amy Horton. That's who Donovan Sharp gets on. So this is gonna be mine. Ray goes. This is one of Amy Horton's. Like she's pretty much admitted that okay, she can't keep a man, but she's gonna write an article to try to infer that she's better off without one. But then all her articles are gonna be how do you pretty much screaming, I don't know how to keep a man in any type of way around me. That's essentially what her whole fucking all her posts of this shit or drama getting the she all in Meghan Markle's asshole. Yeah, it's 3 signs you've been online dating too much. Yeah. Show more. Okay, so this is the one I did. Marriage disproportionately benefits men. There's no expiration date for being single. This is nothing but a long cry. I kind of feel sorry for her a little bit. This is just a cry. Relationships dynamics matter more who you're with. See how come how to become immune to catching feelings. You catching feelings. You are a grown woman talking about catching feelings. Look, I'm out of here, man. The article told on itself, and it just verified it when I clicked on her fucking profile and look at all the blogs. Yeah, I'm out of here, man. You guys have a good day. I'll see you later. Bye.